How's it going, everyone? I hope you're having an awesome day. Welcome to the channel. I'm the ChainBaker, and in today's video I'll show you how to make a super simple and tasty walnut and raisin bread. Let's go to the kitchen and have a closer look. And this is the little humble loaf, made with half white and half whole wheat flour, full of sweet golden raisins and walnuts. It may sound simple, but it's super flavorful. And it is so easy to make. There's no special methods here. You can replace the golden raisins with any other dried fruit you like. You can also swap out the walnuts for other nuts. You can bake this as a freestanding loaf, or you can make little rolls out of it. All these things are totally up to you, but I'll show you how to make this exact loaf. So let's get right to it and see what we need. We'll need a bowl, scales, a dough scraper, temperature probe, and I'm going to use this loaf tin with a lid. It is super handy, and if you want one of these you can find it in my Amazon shop, link down below, but of course it's not necessary. As for the ingredients, we'll need some whole wheat flour, white bread flour, yeast, salt, chopped walnuts, some golden raisins, and some water. And first things first, we need to soak the raisins. We want them to be soft, so when we go to slice the bread, it doesn't tear. And soaking is very simple. All you need to do is cover the raisins with water, leave them to sit for around 30 minutes. You can also leave these overnight, but 30 minutes is sufficient. Make sure to drain them well. We don't want to be adding any extra water to the bread recipe. You can also squeeze them a little bit to get the water out, but don't press too hard, you don't want to squish them. Right, get the raisins out of the way, we can continue on with making our dough. I'm going to be using relatively cool water at around 10 degrees Celsius. That's around 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Kneading this dough by hand is going to warm it up a lot. It is winter time here in the UK. In the summer, I will be using even colder water, around 5 to 6 degrees Celsius. Right, so grab a large bowl, add the water, follow that with the yeast, the salt, then give it all a good mix. We want to dissolve the salt and hydrate the yeast before adding the other ingredients. And don't worry about adding salt and yeast together. Nothing bad will happen if you work quickly. Now add both the whole wheat flour and the white flour. Then grab your dough scraper and mix it until there's no more dry flour left. And if the scraper's not doing it for you, then continue on by hand. Now tip the dough out on the table and we can start kneading it. It will be slightly sticky because of the whole wheat flour, but it won't be too bad. I'm going to use my regular kneading method. What I like to do is press down and forwards with the heel of my right hand, and using the fingers of my left hand I fold the piece of dough under the heel of my right hand, then turn it and repeat. Knead the dough for 7 minutes. It will be a little bit sticky still, but that's completely normal. And it is only now that we're going to add the nuts and the raisins. We want good gluten development before we do this. If you would add the nuts and raisins from the get-go, it will be impossible to knead this. Right, so spread the dough out on the table, sprinkle over the raisins and the walnuts. Then you can kind of spread them out and press them in. This will just prevent them from flying around too much. Now fold the dough over and start sealing this up. There's no special methods here, just fold it up and keep kneading. It shouldn't take more than another 2 minutes or so. And at first the nuts and raisins might be flying around a little bit, but just keep kneading, keep at it, scrape everything together once in a while and continue. And as you keep kneading, the nuts and raisins will stop flying around, the dough will become nice and cohesive. It'll still be a little bit sticky, but that's completely normal. Now we can pop this in a bowl and take its temperature. Around 24 to 25 degrees Celsius just about right for this. That's about 75 to 77 Fahrenheit. I'm going to cover it and leave it to ferment for an hour and a half. The dough should start puffing up during this time. And after the first proof, I'm going to give it a fold. Dust your dough with flour, release it from the bowl using a scraper and pop it out on the table with the smooth side pointing down. Then flatten it out, then fold the edge over the middle, going around in a circle to reach the point where you started. Then flip the dough smooth side up again, tighten it against the table, and back in the bowl it goes. This step will help build tension in the dough. It will also degas it and equalize the temperature. My kitchen's quite cool, so the surface of the dough will cool down first before the middle does. By folding, I'm distributing that temperature evenly throughout the dough, because what was on the outside is now in the middle. This can be covered up again and left for another hour and a half. And now it should really start puffing up. And if your dough's fermenting rapidly, cut the fermentation time down. But if it's rising slowly, leave it for longer. But this one's puffed up and it's nice and wobbly as you can see. It is final shaping time. And again, dust the dough with flour, pop it out on the table with smooth side down. A tin loaf requires a very basic shaping. Flatten the dough into a round disc. Then take the two sides and cross them over in the middle. Try and make it as straight as possible. And now we just need to roll it up. Start from the top, roll and tuck. Roll and tuck. Always press it down and push it forwards. Once you get to the bottom, pinch the seam together. Pick off any stray raisins, because they'll just burn anyway. Now place your loaf into the tin and press it down so it fits the shape. And make sure that the seam goes in the bottom. Of course you can shape this in any shape you like. You can make it as a freestanding loaf, you can make it round, you can make little rolls out of it, it's totally up to you. Baking times will vary of course. Regardless, after final shaping, cover your dough and leave it for the final proof. It will take around 1.5 to 2 hours, depending on the temperature of your kitchen. And during the final hour of proofing, preheat your oven, 210 degrees Celsius, fan off, and that is 410 degrees Fahrenheit. This has risen nicely, it's almost doubled in volume. If you have a deep tin like this but don't have a lid, you can use some tin foil. The main reason for using the lid this time is to trap the steam inside. And we'll bake it for around 20 minutes, just like this. After the first 20 minutes of baking, we can remove the lid. This can go back in the oven for another 15 minutes to really brown the crust. But we're not finished yet. After 15 minutes, take the loaf out and remove it from the tin. We'll put it back in the oven for another 5 minutes. These last 5 minutes will help to set the crust, and it'll make the loaf keep its shape. And there you have it, our humble little loaf. Super easy to make, takes a relatively short amount of time, and it tastes absolutely delicious. Some of you have been asking me for whole wheat bread, so this month will be dedicated to that, and I hope you enjoy. So what do you think of this recipe? I know it's quite simple, but the result is really nice. I'm definitely making this one again. Well, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you want to see more videos like this one, click over here. Subscribe to the channel, click right here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.